This is quite a discovery. Fragments of a biblical scroll, along with other relics, have been found in desert caves in Israel. The Dead Sea Scrolls, unearthed in the Qumran caves, have fascinated scholars and believers alike with their ancient texts. Among these is the Isaiah Scroll, a remarkable manuscript that predates the birth of Jesus Christ by centuries. This scroll contains Isaiah 53, known as the prophecy of the suffering servant, which many believe describes the life and mission of Jesus with uncanny precision. Join us as we talk about this 2,200-year-old scroll found in Israel that revealed the shocking truth about Jesus. Before we discover more about the 2,200-year-old scroll found in Israel that revealed the shocking truth about Jesus, let's find out more about the enigmatic and mysterious Dead Sea Scrolls. Nestled within the dry, unforgiving terrain of the Judean desert near the Dead Sea, a treasure trove of ancient scrolls lay hidden for centuries, waiting to unveil secrets of the past. Discovered between 1946 and 1956 in the Qumran caves, these scrolls offer a fascinating glimpse into ancient Judaism and the formative years of Christianity. Imagine a tranquil desert suddenly disrupted by the accidental find of a group of Bedouin shepherds. This chance discovery turned out to be one of the most significant archaeological finds of the 20th century. However, what makes the Dead Sea Scrolls so special? Written mostly in Hebrew, with bits in Aramaic and Greek, these manuscripts date from around the 3rd century BC to the 1st century AD. They comprise biblical texts, documents about sectarian regulations, and writings that diverge from the recognized biblical canon. With about 981 texts unearthed from 11 different caves, they offer an unprecedented cross-section of Jewish life and thought during the Second Temple period. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The real drama begins with what these scrolls contain. About 40% of them are texts directly from the Hebrew Scriptures. That's right, parts of the ancient Bible were just lying there beneath layers of dust and time. Another 30% include texts that didn't make the biblical cut, like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees. These are the apocryphal works, or what you might call the director's cut of religious texts. The remaining texts are perhaps the most intriguing because they include sectarian writings, documents that outline the beliefs and rules of a mysterious Jewish sect, possibly the Essenes. But the plot thickens. Not everyone agrees on this point. Some scholars suggest other groups, maybe even a band of rebel priests, could have penned these texts. The debate continues to add a layer of mystery and intrigue to the study of these ancient writings. What's even more compelling is the context these scrolls provide for understanding early Christianity and the development of Rabbinic Judaism. For instance, they offer insights into messianic expectations and apocalyptic beliefs prevalent during this era. Ever wondered about the religious landscape into which Jesus was born? These scrolls help paint a vivid picture. Now, you might be asking, where are these scrolls now? Most of them reside in the Shrine of the Book at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. Yet their journey to this museum was anything but straightforward. Post their discovery, the scrolls were subjects of fierce international and historical debate. Ownership disputes between Jordan, Israel, and the Palestinian Authority add a modern twist to this ancient saga, each arguing their claim over these artifacts based on territorial, legal, and historical grounds. Amidst all this historical and archaeological significance, it's easy to lose sight of the human element. These texts were written, read, and revered by people not so different from you and me. They offer a connection, a tangible link to our shared past, showing the continuity and change of human thought and spirituality. Before diving into the heart of the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's essential to explore the very places where these ancient texts were found. The story of the Qumran caves is not just about what was discovered inside them. These caves, scattered along the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea, hold tales of discovery, mystery, and scholarly debate that continue to captivate the world. The discovery saga began quite unassumingly in 1946 when a Bedouin shepherd named Mohammed ed-Dib accidentally stumbled upon the first of these caves, known as Cave 1. What he found inside were jars containing 7 scrolls that would eventually be recognized as some of the most significant religious texts in human history. The scrolls from this cave, including the famous Great Isaiah Scroll, were in remarkably good condition, sparking a wave of excitement and further exploration. But more on that later. Fast forward to 1952, and the narrative takes us to the discovery of Cave 2. Here, the Bedouins unearthed 30 fragments, but this was just the beginning. The real treasure trove was Cave 4, discovered in the same year, which produced an astonishing 15,000 fragments from around 500 different texts. This cave alone has contributed the majority of what scholars know about the Dead Sea Scrolls today. It's not hard to imagine the excitement and the daunting task that faced archaeologists as they realized the scale of what lay before them. Each cave has its own story. Take Cave 3, for example, which revealed the unique copper scroll, a kind of ancient treasure map listing locations where various items of gold and silver were buried. Then there's Cave 5 and Cave 6, discovered alongside each other, each yielding new scripts and adding pieces to the historical puzzle. Perhaps the most intriguing of all is Cave 7. This cave is distinct because it contained fragments written only in Greek, including texts like the Letter of Jeremiah. This linguistic variation offers clues about the diverse cultural and linguistic influences in the region during the Second Temple period. Cave 8 gave us something a bit different. Archaeologists found not only texts but also everyday items like tefillin cases and leather objects, providing a glimpse into the daily lives of those who might have used the scrolls. Meanwhile, Cave 9 offered only a single manuscript fragment, yet its discovery adds to the complex tapestry of Qumran's history. The discovery of Cave 11 in 1956 brought to light the longest of all the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Temple Scroll, measuring over 26 feet. This scroll offers detailed instructions on how to conduct temple services, highlighting the religious fervor of the period. It was a sensational find that stirred debates among scholars about its implications for understanding ancient Jewish religious practices. But the story doesn't end there. In 2017, a new chapter began with the discovery of Cave 12. Although it had been looted in the 1950s, the cave still yielded some artifacts, reinforcing the notion that many more secrets might still be hidden, waiting to be uncovered. Now you must be wondering, where did all these scrolls come from? Let's start with the classic theory, which gained traction in the mid-20th century, thanks to scholars like Roland Gann-Devoe and Joseph Milik. They proposed that the ascetic Jewish sect, known for their purity and communal living, were the authors of the scrolls found near the ruins of Qumran. The site contained numerous artifacts such as ink wells and ritual baths, suggesting it was a center of writing and religious activity. This connection seemed to be confirmed by historical accounts from Flavius Josephus and Pliny the Elder, who described the Essenes as living in a similar desert community. However, this theory isn't without its cracks, prompting some to dig a little deeper. Moving beyond the Essene label, some scholars advocate for the Qumran sectarian theory, which still links the scrolls to Qumran but hesitates to pin them solely on the Essenes. This perspective gained momentum with the work of Lawrence H. Schiffman, who suggested that the community could have been led by Zadokite priests, also known as Sadducees. Supporting this, documents like the Mikhat Mahaz Hatter from Cave 4 align closely with Sadducean customs, especially in their unique festival calendar and purity laws. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Some theories suggest a Christian hand in the scrolls. In the 1960s, Jose O. Callahan Martinez made waves by proposing that a fragment, 7Q5, might even be a snippet from the New Testament's Gospel of Mark. Though this view has faced skepticism and scrutiny, it occasionally resurfaces, bolstered by various paleographic analyses. Adding to this, Robert Eisenman's bold assertions link the scrolls to early Christian figures like James the Just and Paul the Apostle, suggesting that the texts could reflect early Christian community practices. Yet another fascinating angle comes from scholars who believe that the scrolls didn't originate from Qumran at all, but rather from Jerusalem. Karl Heinrich Rohrff initially posited that the scrolls were part of the Jewish temple's library, secreted away during the Roman siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD. Norman G. B. later expanded this idea, suggesting the scrolls came from various Jerusalem libraries, not just the temple. This theory is supported by the diverse handwriting and ideological content of the scrolls, indicating a broader urban origin. As the debate continues, recent archaeological work by scholars like Jack Margan and Yuval Pell challenges the very nature of the Qumran site, proposing it was merely a fort reused in later periods, not a monastic sect's home base. This theory suggests that the scrolls might have been brought to Qumran for safekeeping by Jerusalem's fleeing residents, rather than being produced there. Each theory opens up new ways of seeing the Dead Sea Scrolls, not just as relics of a distant past, but as active participants in a vibrant historical dialogue. Whether created by Essenes, Christians, or Jerusalem scholars, these texts offer a window into the complex tapestry of ancient thought, belief, and society. It's time to move on to the Isaiah Scroll, the first of the treasures discovered in Qumran. We mentioned Muhammad ed-Dib a while ago, a young Bedouin shepherd whose curious nature led him to one of the greatest finds of the 20th century. In the chilly winter of late 1946 or early 1947, Muhammad and his two companions were tending their flocks near the Dead Sea in the area now known as the Qumran Caves. The story takes a twist when a stray goat wanders off, leading the young shepherd to throw a rock into a cave in frustration, only to hear the sound of shattering pottery. Curiosity piqued, Muhammad ventured into the cave, finding several tall jars. To his astonishment, one jar contained 3 ancient scrolls, igniting a spark that would soon light up the world of archaeology. But let's zoom in on the Isaiah scroll, or 1QISA, which stands out for being the most complete and arguably the most significant of these texts. The scroll, largely intact, was one of the first 7 Dead Sea Scrolls discovered and has since fascinated scholars and enthusiasts alike. It includes almost the entirety of the Book of Isaiah, offering a rare glimpse into the world of Second Temple Judaism and the biblical canon. The discovery itself was just the beginning of the journey for the Isaiah scroll. After unearthing the scroll, the shepherds, unsure of its value, took it back to their camp. However, the historical and religious significance of the scroll remained unrecognized until it reached the hands of a Bethlehem antiques dealer. From there, the scroll changed hands several times, catching the attention of scholars who were astounded by the find. What makes the Isaiah scroll particularly captivating is its age and preservation. Radiocarbon dating and paleographic analysis date the scroll to around 150 to 100 BC, placing it over a century before the earliest known copies of Isaiah. This has provided invaluable insights into the textual transmission and evolution of the Hebrew Bible. Moreover, the scroll's content has been a gold mine for theologians and historians. It offers a version of Isaiah that is remarkably similar to the Emtic text, the authoritative Hebrew text of the Jewish Bible, underscoring the text's stability over centuries. Yet, there are notable variations that shed light on early Jewish interpretive traditions, enhancing our understanding of the religious landscape of the time. The impact of the Isaiah scroll extends beyond academia. Its discovery, as part of the broader cache of the Dead Sea Scrolls, has influenced modern interpretations of biblical history and deepened our understanding of Judaism and Christianity's roots. It's a testament to how a single artifact can change the trajectory of historical scholarship. The Isaiah scroll's journey also speaks volumes about the conditions of its preservation. The arid climate of the Qumran Caves played a crucial role in keeping the parchment intact for millennia. This natural preservation, combined with the historical cataclysms that likely led to the scroll's concealment, possibly by members of a local sect fleeing Roman forces, adds layers of intrigue and speculation about its origins and purpose. The Isaiah scroll's journey to the public eye is what makes this 2,200-year-old scroll even more interesting. Initially, the scroll fell into the hands of Khalil Isander Shahim, known as Kando, a Bethlehem antiquities dealer and member of the Syrian Church. Kando, puzzled by the ancient Hebrew script, passed it along to Archbishop Anastasius Yeshu Samuel. The archbishop, sensing its importance but unable to decipher it, sought validation from scholars. This move in July 1947 led him to Professor J. Vainer Plig, who, despite confirming its authenticity as a Hebrew manuscript of the Book of Isaiah, faced skepticism from his peers. They doubted its authenticity, believing it to be too well preserved to be ancient. As the geopolitical landscape heated up with the impending establishment of Israel, Professor Elazar Sukenik of the Hebrew University managed to negotiate a viewing, recognizing its authenticity. He quickly copied portions of the Isaiah text and shared them with the soon-to-be leaders of Israel, symbolically linking the ancient Jewish heritage with the modern state. The scroll's path to publication began when Father Butus Sai from St. Mark's Monastery reached out to the American Schools of Oriental Research with Brownlee. The task fell to Dr. John Trevor, who not only photographed the scrolls but also sent these images to Professor William Albright at Johns Hopkins University. Albright's analysis dated the Isaiah manuscript to around 100 BC, reinforcing its significance. By 1949, with Israel established and the region's politics transforming, Archbishop Samuel took the scrolls to the United States, seeking a buyer to fund his church's needs. The scrolls, including the Isaiah scroll, were kept under wraps, only published by ASO in 1950 after meticulous preparation by Dr. Miller Burrows, Trevor, and Brownlee. This publication marked the first time the wider scholarly community could access the texts, setting off a wave of excitement and further study. However, the scroll's story didn't end there. In a twist fit for a spy novel, they were quietly put up for sale in the Wall Street Journal in 1954. Israeli archaeologist Yigal Yadin, recognizing the historical and national importance of these texts, secured them for $250,000. It wasn't until February 1955 that the purchase was publicly acknowledged, bringing the scrolls back to Israeli soil. Now housed in the Shrine of the Book at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, the Isaiah Scroll has taken on a new life in the digital age. In partnership with Google, the museum launched the Dead Sea Scrolls digital project, allowing people around the world to view high-quality images of the scroll alongside English translations. This digitization project not only preserves the fragile texts but also makes them accessible, continuing the scroll's journey from a cave near the Dead Sea to screens across the globe. Delving into the Isaiah Scroll not only takes us back through millennia but also into the meticulous world of ancient scribes. Their task of transmitting religious texts with both devotion and precision is evident, yet as we explore the great Isaiah Scroll, it's clear that the human touch left room for variation. Each mark, correction, and variant tells a story, offering us a unique window into the past. The scribal hand that penned the great Isaiah Scroll, around 125 to 100 BC, displays remarkable consistency with the Masoretic text, which has been the foundational text for modern versions of the Old Testament. However, unlike the uniform perfection you might expect, the scroll reveals that even ancient scribes made mistakes. These errors have provided scholars with invaluable insights into the evolution of biblical texts. The scroll itself is divided into two symmetrical halves, each containing 27 columns of text, suggesting an early method of organizing or perhaps even studying the book of Isaiah. This division, unusual in later texts, might indicate an initial attempt at creating a user-friendly format, a kind of ancient reader's edition, if you will. But here's where it gets really interesting. A 2021 study employing artificial intelligence found it likely that two different scribes worked on the scroll, each copying one half of the document. This discovery challenges the long-held assumption that a single scribe might be responsible for an entire manuscript, suggesting a collaborative effort that mirrors modern-day teamwork. As we zoom in further, the text itself shows over 2,600 variants compared to the Masoretic text. These are not just trivial spelling mistakes, they include significant deviations that can change the interpretation of a passage. For instance, some sections of the scroll, like parts of Isaiah chapter 2 and chapter 40, show differences that indicate these verses were added or modified after the original composition, highlighting a dynamic and evolving text rather than a static scripture. Moreover, the presence of cancellation marks and corrections above and below the text demonstrates that quality control existed even in ancient scriptoria. Scribes would review their work or have others review it, marking necessary changes, an ancient form of proofreading and editing that ensured the accuracy and sanctity of the text. These scribal practices not only illuminate the care taken in preserving religious texts, but also reflect the human element in these sacred writings. Errors such as skipping lines or misreading words, as seen in Isaiah 16 verses 8 to 9, show that scribes, no matter how diligent, were not immune to the foibles of fatigue or distraction. Interestingly, some of these ancient textual variants have made their way into modern Bible translations. For example, a clearer reading of Isaiah 53 verse 1 found in 1Q Isaiah aligns with the Septuagint and has been adopted in translations like the New International Version and the Revised Standard Version, showing the direct impact of these ancient texts on contemporary religious practice. The study of these variants does more than just satisfy historical curiosity. It provides a deeper understanding of the textual integrity and transmission over centuries. It connects us with the individuals who, centuries ago, sat in candlelit rooms painstakingly transcribing texts they deemed sacred, texts that shaped the religious landscape of the future. Isaiah 53, often dubbed the Suffering Servant chapter, stands out as a profound piece of prophetic literature that has fascinated scholars and believers alike for centuries. This chapter, a part of the famous Isaiah scroll from Qumran, offers a vivid portrayal of a figure whose life parallels the New Testament descriptions of Jesus Christ. Let's delve into how these ancient words seemingly sketch the trials and triumphs of Jesus, offering a bridge between the prophetic traditions of the Old Testament and the fulfillment narratives of the New Testament. Isaiah 53 opens with a poignant depiction of rejection. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. This prophecy resonates deeply when aligned with the Gospel of John, where, despite Jesus' miracles and teachings, he faces rejection by his own people. The juxtaposition here isn't just dramatic, it's a stark portrayal of human indifference to the divine, a theme that's uncomfortably relevant even today. Moving on to one of the most graphic prophecies, he was pierced for their transgressions and crushed for their iniquities. The punishment that brought them peace was on him, and by his wounds they are healed. This imagery is vividly realized in the New Testament, particularly in 1 Peter, where Jesus' crucifixion is depicted not just as a brutal end but as a sacrificial act to redeem humanity from sin. The correlation here isn't merely coincidental. It's a foundational element for Christian theology regarding atonement. Isaiah's narrative continues, describing that Jesus was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. This prophecy finds its mirror in Jesus' trial scenes in the Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus, amidst severe accusations, chooses silence over defense. This silent endurance underlines a profound submission to divine will, highlighting a theme of noble suffering. The prophecy also touches on the circumstances of death. He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. This is strikingly fulfilled in Jesus' burial, as described in Matthew, where he is laid in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy follower. This detail not only fulfills the prophecy but also adds a layer of irony. Jesus, rejected in life, finds a resting place among the elite in death. Lastly, Isaiah foretells that he will be given a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death and was numbered with the transgressors. The Gospel of Luke captures this moment vividly during the crucifixion, where Jesus is placed between two criminals, symbolically aligning him with transgressors, yet underscoring his innocence. These connections between Isaiah 53 and the New Testament narratives are more than historical curiosities. They are to Christian faith as evidence of divine prophecy and fulfillment. For believers, these links serve as a powerful affirmation of faith, illustrating a meticulous divine plan unfolded through centuries, validating the life of Jesus. What message can we draw from all this? When delving into the life of Jesus Christ and his pivotal role in Christian theology, it's fascinating to not only explore the scriptural accounts but also to look beyond, to the historical validations that lend credibility to the narratives chronicled in the New Testament. These external attestations from non-Christian sources offer us a broader perspective, providing compelling evidence that supports the biblical depiction of Jesus as a significant historical figure. Consider the testimony of Tacitus, a Roman historian of impeccable credentials, who in his Annals, written around 116 AD, mentions a certain Christus. This Christus, Tacitus tells us, suffered a capital punishment under Pontius Pilate during the reign of Tiberius. Now, why does this matter? Tacitus was no friend of the Christians. He regarded them with disdain, blaming them for the great fire of Rome and describing their superstitions as dangerous. Yet his account inadvertently verifies the New Testament timeline and the existence of Jesus, placing him squarely within a historical frame that both skeptics and believers can appreciate. Moving on, Flavius Josephus, a Jewish historian, provides us with another piece of the puzzle. In his works, particularly in Antiquities of the Jews, Josephus refers to Jesus as a wise and virtuous man known as Christ. What's striking here is that Josephus was not setting out to promote Christianity. Instead, his goal was to record Jewish history for a Roman audience. His acknowledgement of Jesus' existence and his execution lends significant non-Christian corroboration that aligns well with biblical accounts, reinforcing the narrative from an entirely different cultural and religious perspective. But how do these historical mentions intersect with the prophecies of Isaiah, specifically Isaiah 53? This chapter in the Hebrew Scriptures describes a suffering servant, an individual who bears profound grief and pain, yet through his suffering brings a form of redemption. Christians have long seen this as a clear foreshadowing of Jesus' life and mission. The external validations by Tacitus and Josephus not only underscore the real-life existence of Jesus but also enrich our understanding of how his life could embody these ancient prophecies. These historical cross-references do more than just validate. They invite deeper contemplation about the interconnectedness of faith, history, and prophecy. For believers, these connections are not merely academic, they are affirmations of faith. For skeptics or seekers, they offer a reason to look closer, to reconsider the historical Jesus, not just as a figure of faith, but as a man who walked the earth, whose life left indelible marks on history. Did you know about the Dead Sea Scrolls and what they actually say? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more.